Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Good evening and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Ebulomo Adekunle. In our major story, President Goodluck Jonathan says the issue of the Boko Haram insurgency will soon be a thing of the past. Also in this program, a federal high court in Abuja strikes out a suit challenging the eligibility of President Goodluck Jonathan to contest the 2015 general elections. The United Nations Special Envoy Mohamed Ibn Chambers says the international community is glad that the decision to shift the date of the 2015 general elections did not lead to a political crisis in Nigeria. Outside Nigeria, Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko has decried the latest violence in his country and disclosed that he will be attending a meeting at Brussels to brief the European Union of the Ukrainian crisis. President Goodluck Jonathan says the menace of the Boko Haram terrorists will be over before the rescheduled general elections. Jonathan, who spoke at a special edition of the presidential media chat in Abuja, says the cooperation of neighboring countries has ensured that the war on the terrorists is now going very well.
I believe now that we are working with Chad, working with Cameroon, I believe in the next few weeks the story of the Chibok girls will begin to get better. The issues of at least rescuing some of them and so on. I believe that I cannot say, I cannot say the president said so. I don't want to be quoted and say maybe if I give you presidency in 2 weeks' time or in 4 weeks' time, we are going to. I cannot say that because the disappearance of these girls are taking quite some time. But we have mapped out a configuration now. We're working with our neighbors and we'll comb the whole of that area.
On the purported move to remove Atahiru Jega as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, the president responded this way.
INEC is a standing executive body defined by the Constitution. It is the president that appoints every commissioner in INEC, both the national commissioners and the REC, the resident electoral commissioners, are my appointees. So if I feel that Jega is not good enough for obvious reasons, then I can't. There are provisions in the Constitution that gives the person who appoints the power to remove. And I've not told anybody that I'm going to remove Jega because that's all.
A civil rights group, the National Conscience Movement, has dismissed claims by National Security Advisor Sambo Dasuki that Boko Haram will be crushed within 6 weeks. The NSA had said this in the aftermath of the postponement of the general elections, but the group said at a news conference in Abuja that Dasuki is simply setting the stage for another excuse. Its members insist that the NSA cannot be trusted and are demanding that he steps down from the position.
I understand Dasuki to be saying that there will be no elections. That's the meaning of what he's saying. Nigerians should take that statement to mean that Dasuki is saying there will be no elections. Because a man who has told 9 lies and only told 1 truth cannot be taken on the strength of that single truth. So I want to believe that that statement is part of the game of deceiving Nigerians to calm down and then give them some level of trust.
We've asked this same commander-in-chief and his security advisor, what is your plan for fighting the insurgency for almost 2 years? And mom has been the answer. So what has changed from the defensive position of protecting Maiduguri, Yola, and all the state capitals? That the military would now be able to go into an offensive position to crush the insurgents? Is it the multinational forces that will be used? What intel do the multinational forces have? The multinational forces do not even have a roadmap yet. They do not even know where their funding is coming from. So why is he insulting the intelligence of Nigerians? Because of their own hidden agenda.
The APC Presidential Campaign Organization has warned that President Goodluck Jonathan would be held responsible if anything happens to two of the party leaders, Bola Tinubu and Governor Rochas Okorocha of Imo State. It also condemned the deployment of troops around the residence of the two opposition figures for undisclosed reasons. The campaign team said in a statement by spokesman Garba Shehu that the deployment is unacceptable and a breach of their fundamental human rights. It, however, advised APC supporters throughout the country to remain calm and behave responsibly. Due to the upsurge in political violence in Kwara State ahead of the 2015 general elections, the Kwara State Security Council has resolved to inform all the political parties, candidates and stakeholders in the state to sign a peace accord with security agencies in the state before, during and after the elections. This disclosure was made by the Secretary to the State Government, Easier Gold, in Ilorin while briefing journalists. He also talked about some of the illegal political activities held in hotels, charging all the security agencies to be vigilant.
Also recommended that all candidates for elective post should sign a covenant with security agencies to maintain peace and order before, during, and after the forthcoming general elections. Council noted with serious concern that those who perpetrate thuggery and other forms of political violence often organize these illegal activities in hotels and similar establishments. To discourage these activities, while also stemming the prohibition of illegal arms in the state, Council recommended that the state government and law enforcement agencies should engage with owners and operators of hotels in the state to ensure vigilance and scrutinize lodgers in order to prevent the use of such premises for planning criminal activities. Council therefore directed the police to prosecute all pending cases of thuggery to serve as a deterrent to others and to reassure the public of government's readiness to uphold public order.
Meanwhile, the governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Kwara State, Mike Omotosho, has assured the people of Kwara State of peace before, during and after elections. He charged all parents to ensure that their children and wards are not used as political thugs.
Pleading with our parents to talk to their wards, not to allow their kids be used for political thuggery. And Kwara State, the state of harmony, the beautiful state of Kwara State, has been peaceful all along until this recent incidents. Just yesterday, we had a security meeting with security operatives in the states, and we were reassured of continued peace and security in the states. It is my fervent belief and hope that all of those political thuggery will be a thing of the past in Kwara State.
A federal high court in Abuja struck out a suit challenging the eligibility of President Goodluck Jonathan to stand for election in the March 28th presidential election. Justice Ahmed Mohammed struck out the suit after counsel to the four plaintiffs decided to withdraw the suit. Defense counsel Ade Okianya Ine did not oppose the application but insisted that his client was entitled to cost. The court agreed and consequently awarded 50,000 naira against the plaintiffs, aside from striking out the suit. The United Nations has commended members of the political class for the matured way they handled the postponement of the general elections. Special representative of the UN Secretary General Mohammed Ibn Chambers told State House correspondents after meeting President Goodluck Jonathan that the international community was glad that the decision did not lead to political crisis. He added that the UN hopes that Nigerians would continue to keep the electoral process peaceful, clean and transparent to ensure a universally acceptable outcome of the rescheduled election. Ibn Chambers revealed that UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon on Friday had separate telephone chats with President Goodluck Jonathan and the opposition candidate Muhammadu Buhari when it was certain that the elections would be postponed.
The Secretary General commends Mr. President and other political leaders of this country to continue on that path. Secondly, there's strong support in the fight against Boko Haram. Boko Haram is not only a threat to Nigeria or the region, but indeed it's an international issue and requires the full international support in Nigeria's legitimate fight against Boko Haram. The same way that the fight is taking to Shabab and ISIS and ACME in North Mali, the same effort is required in the fight against Boko Haram.
The UN Special Envoy also met the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, on issues surrounding the forthcoming elections. Mohammed Ibn Chambers raised a number of poses during the meeting before going into a closed-door session with the former head of state. You're watching the CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take a break and we'll be back with other stories. Don't go away.
Your account is too low for this call.
Never get stranded with MTN Extra Time. You can now borrow airtime and pay back at your next recharge. Dial *606# now to enjoy the new MTN Extra Time.
MTN, everywhere you go.
Daily dose of Scott's Emotion, which combines omega-3, calcium, vitamins A and D, supports the healthy development of your child's brain and body. Scott's Emotion promotes active minds and strong immunity in growing children. New Scott's Orange Flavor Multivitamin Emotion.
Thank you for being there, and in case you're just joining us, here are our major stories. President Goodluck Jonathan says the issue of the Boko Haram insurgency will soon be a thing of the past. A federal high court in Abuja strikes out a suit challenging the eligibility of President Goodluck Jonathan to contest the 2015 general elections. The United Nations Special Envoy Mohammed Ibn Chambers says the international community is glad that the decision to shift the date of the 2015 general elections did not lead to political crisis in Nigeria. And for more news and other information, you can visit our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/CoreTV News. Our Twitter handle @CoreTV News NG. And on YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space, then news. The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, insists that he has no personal religious agenda, contrary to suggestions of a plan to Islamize Nigeria. He also reaffirmed his commitment to a multi-religious state where individuals are free to practice their religion of choice. Buhari said this at an interactive session with representatives of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria in Abuja. The APC candidate, who was accompanied by his running mate Yemi Osinbajo and other leading members of the party's presidential campaign council, stressed that he will not condone any initiative that will promote one religion over the other. Earlier in his welcome speech, Archbishop of Jos, Ignatius Kaigama, said the Catholic Bishops' Conference believes in the unity and progress of the country and regretted the wide communication gap between the leaders and the people. The bishops also expressed concern over the falling education standards in Nigeria, widespread of corruption, and the worrisome security situation. Reacting, General Buhari traced the challenges to unemployment, which he promises to confront headlong. The People's Democratic Party has accused the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Atahiru Jega, of plotting with the All Progressives Congress to manipulate the forthcoming elections in favor of its candidate. Its presidential campaign team specifically claimed that Jega has had a series of meetings with APC leaders in Dubai and other cities around the world to perfect the plot. Spokesman for the campaign team, Femi Fanikayode, said at a news conference in Abuja that the poor distribution rate of permanent voter cards in regions considered to be the stronghold of President Goodluck Jonathan was part of the plan. He wondered why, in spite of raging insurgency in the northeast, the region has a far better rate of PVC collection than relatively peaceful parts of the southern Nigeria. PDP's campaign spokesman consequently challenged the INEC chairman to show proof of arrival of all voters' cards from China where they were printed. He also wants Jega to respond to allegations of partisanship and ineptitude. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Oyo State has assured residents of a hitch-free voting process in the coming general elections, disclosing that the Commission has zero tolerance for electoral malpractices and disorderliness. The resident Electoral Commissioner, Rufus Akeju, says all anti-rigging mechanism has been put in place to ensure a credible process. Omotayo was at a sensitization program organized for youth groups in the state by the Commission and filed in this report.
With the shifting date of the general elections, INEC in Oyo State is sticking to educating youth in the state on the roles they should play in making the elections a success. As future leaders, the resident Electoral Commissioner, Rufus Akeju, advised youth to be change agents by spreading the gospel of violence-free elections and do away with selling their votes, but vote with all sense of integrity and trust for the candidates of their choice.
Each polling unit, we will not have more than 750. And after they finish voting, they will count their ballot right there and then and paste the result on the wall for everybody to see. There is no secrecy involved at that.
Attesting to the Commission's claim of zero tolerance for any sort of electoral malpractice, the use of the automated card reader was demonstrated, and Akeju warned that anyone found with a fake PVC would be arrested on the spot.
This smart card reader cannot read any other card apart from the one issued by INEC. It cannot read a clone card. This card reader has a very high level of security.
For the national leaders of the youth group, INEC has taken the right step to put together the sensitization workshop, but should also see it as a point of duty to ensure that all the promises of a corruption-free election is not broken.
If you collect money from any politician, definitely you will not have mouth to challenge the person when they are not discharging their duty accordingly.
We want to achieve zero free election totally, zero free election malpractices, zero free election manipulation.
Akaji made it clear that no citizen will be allowed to vote on any ground without the PVC, stating that the extension of the collection of cards till the 8th of March should be maximized to the fullest.
As I've always said, that you don't get what you deserve, you do get what you negotiate. If you want government policies, you want to influence government policies, your vote is your power.
Though the postponement of the elections was greeted with series of opposition and speculation of a sinister intention towards the elections, the Independent Electoral Commission says it is leaving nothing to chance, while the electorate remain the ultimate judge of how events will unfold in the 2015 general elections. Omotayiwalo, CoreTV News, Ibadan.
The leaked alleged Ekiti rigging audio tape has continued to draw reactions from Nigerians. The All Progressives Congress, in its reaction to the tape allegedly made by one Sagir Koli, formerly of the 32 Artillery Brigade of the Nigerian Army, Akure, and who also served as an intelligence officer during the 2014 Ekiti governorship election, says it shows the height of desperation of the ruling PDP. National Publicity Secretary of the party, Lai Mohammed, spoke to newsmen on the party stand on the issue in Lagos. Patience Ajiboye, who was there, filed in this report, presented from our studio.
The National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, Lai Mohammed, says the leaked alleged rigging audio tape clearly confirms the party's position on the partisan behavior of the security forces. He says this also shows that the Jonathan administration has abused the use of the armed forces.
As you can hear and see, the army played a major role in the rigging of the 2014 governorship election in Ekiti State. As Captain Kohli said, a total of 1,016 military officers and men were deployed to Ekiti State as part of a so-called special task force for the elections. Soldiers were deployed to each of the 16 local governments with the express instruction to work with the PDP contacts in the local governments. Also, special stickers were given to select PDP officials so their vehicles could be granted an unfettered access to any part of the state, despite the traditional election day restriction of movement.
He says the sudden redeployment of Aliyu Momo to be the commander in charge of the military operation for the security of the election is a pointer to the fact that he came for a sinister purpose.
We alerted Nigerians to the fact that Brigadier General Momo was sent to Ekiti with the express order of ensuring that the election is won by the PDP. Let me quote directly from our press release of June 9th, 2014. That was about 12 days before the election. And I quote, "Is it also a mere coincidence that a new brigadier commander, Brigadier General Momo, whom they believe to be pliable and willing to do their hatchet job, has been posted from Mina to Akure ahead of the Ekiti elections to replace Brigadier General A.B. Diko, who refused to be compromised and allowed the PDP to rig the recent by-election in Ondo State."
He, however, made a call to the National Assembly to launch a probe into the activities of those whose voices were heard in the audio tape within the period the recording allegedly took place, while adding that the military should not be used to perform functions of the police.
The lingering crisis between the management of the Federal University Oye and in SAF has taken a new twist as the school sacks more than 10 workers who partook in the protests last year. The affected staff took their plight to the state government for reinstatement and quick address for their initial demands. Rashid has more on the story.
Let Obadiah, Professor Isaac Asuzu,
to come and explain to us.
That was the scene of the protest that rocked the Federal University of Ekiti last year on what the staff tagged as high-handedness of the management under the leadership of the Vice-Chancellor. After this, another protest started, but this time with a twist, with the protest leading to the governor's office in Ado Ekiti. The workers called for the recall of those who were involved in the initial protest, who are also indigenous of Ekiti State, but are now sacked.
That were called forward to negotiate, to interact with them, to settle issues in December, and now the ones suffering the bite of the whole event. We just saw that some of us were marked out, and they said we should come for an interactive section. And on the long run, what we saw was that sack letters, termination of appointments.
Indigenous of Ekiti. What is happening in Federal University here cannot happen elsewhere. If us comes here, they do whatever they like. They told us we are fools, that we don't know anything. Most of our staff, high-ranking staff in Federal University here are Igbos. The Ekitis that are there, we are junior staff. We never complain.
With the protesters calling for the intervention of the state government, Deputy Governor Olushola Edeka, who spoke on behalf of the governor, Ayo Fayose, says the state government will look into the matter while appealing for patience on the part of the aggrieved protesters.
We are going to be very objective in our intervention. We are going to definitely see what we are going to do. But please let us allow peace to reign. Is that okay?
All efforts to reach the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Isaac Azuzu, proved abortive, and as the crisis degenerates further, no one can say this is where it will end. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
Trade unionists and labor activities are activists are set to elect a new leadership to pilot the affairs of the Nigerian Labour Congress for the next 4 years. Although voting proper is still a long way off, delegates to the elective Congress, which commenced on Monday, have been speaking on the expectations for their next set of leaders. But they all agreed that it will be a keen contest between Joe Ajero of the National Union of Electricity Workers and Ayuba Waba of the Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria. Basiaye reports.
In recent time, NLC has not been so vibrant the way it is. And so it is our expectation that at the end of this special 11th Congress, we are going to have leadership that will be more proactive, leadership that will address the needs of the workers of Nigeria.
At the end of the election, what we wish first is peace, progress, and unity. Definitely, this is an election which goes with numbers. So whichever lineup that wins, we will support the winner. That is democracy. So as to enable the workforce to move forward.
We apologize for the mix-up in the reports we just brought to you. Now we have the full package of the report on the Nigeria Labour Congress election.
It's that time of the year when Labour activists elect a new leadership. And as is the norm before any election, lobbying had been ongoing, with some contestants stepping down for others. An outstanding drama ensued among those vying for the position of president, an obvious show of solidarity among the private sector unions. The Nupeng national president explains that organized labor has lost its zest and must be revamped.
My great comrades, I've taken pains in my heart to express this, and to let you know I am ready to serve in the capacity of deputy president.
God bless you, God bless you, God bless you, God bless you.
For the past 8 years that we've had a leadership in the public sector, there have been huge challenges. And I feel it is high time we begin to give NLC what it deserves. And if I begin to go into say I'm going to contest, I was saying the trend of the environment, that labor must survive. The unity of labor is more important than my ambition. I have to step down.
His view is supported by some other delegates who maintain that it will be a close contest between the private and public sectors.
At the end of this special 11th Congress, we are going to have leadership that will be more proactive, leadership that will address the needs of the workers of Nigeria.
In contents, you look at number. You may be so good, you may think you are good, or you even believe you are good. In fact, you may be so good, but the people may not want you as such. So sometimes you see people reading the handwritten on the wall and making consultations, and then we can now say, okay, I leave the post for you because I can see that you can do it better than myself. This is what you can only see only in labor.
This is politics. This is a period of politics in the Labour Congress, no? And like national politics, anything can happen anytime. So people that are stepping down, they know how, why they are doing it so. But for those that are still in the contest, we are still hoping for the better.
This man, however, says peace and unity remains a priority after all is said and done.
At the end of the election, what we wish first is peace, progress, and unity.
While delegates and other Nigerians anxiously await the outcome of the election, there are indications that the last has not been heard on the political drama on display at the NLC Delegates Conference. Basia Ye, CoreTV News, Abuja.
It's still the CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take another break and we'll return with business, sports and other stories from outside Nigeria. Please stay with us.
Which person can you carry?
And we now for MTN
Catch Quest. You see the look? Plenty people don't they win 10 million naira every week and 1 million naira every day. To win, just dial *170# for free and correct awufu go with you. Whether that TV, generator or phone, you fit win all for free every day.
MTN, everywhere you go.
And now to business. The Federal Executive Council has ratified the National Policy on Staple Crops Processing Zones and National Agency for the Great Green Wall Bill. It also approved 8 bills at a session presided over by President Goodluck Jonathan. The bills include the National Transport Commission Bill, National Roads Fund Bill, Federal Roads Authority Bill, and Nigeria Ports and Harbour Authority Bill and Nigeria Railway Authority Bill. A number of cabinet members briefed the media on the outcome of the meeting at a news conference coordinated by presidential spokesman Reuben Abati.
The Nigerian Railway Authority Bill, the Ports and Harbour Authority Bill, and the National Inland Waterways Authority Bill. But before I go into the individual bills, let me take the liberty to emphasize that the reform of the federal government in transportation is aimed at instituting a private sector-driven economy to align with the overall objective of the federal government economic policy and the Vision 2020. Of course, before now, government as a dominant player had always financed, operated, regulated, and managed almost all major sectors of the economy, including transportation. However, the challenges of management, inadequate maintenance, funding, etc., necessitated the sector reform to open up to private sector participation, with government role limited to policy regulation, supervision, and indeed creating the enabling environment.
We know the problem of the Sahara Desert and the effect of climate change in our country. And if care is not taken, the devastation effect will be enormous and great in our country. And so in line with the transformation agenda of Mr. President, he established this agency. And we have carried out a lot of activities in these states, and the result is overwhelming. And the communities within those states are very, very happy. We have 305 communities that are benefiting from this. We have created jobs. We have provided facilities like water and so on and so forth for the community.
They approved the national policy for the establishment of staple crop processing zones in Nigeria. Let me just explain what those zones basically mean. They basically will be new zones where we are going to be processing and adding value to all staple foods that we produce in the country. And also, since we are producing a lot more food, that we must add value to every single thing that we have. And so this staple crop processing zone will be our new instrument to allow us to bring private sector food manufacturing companies into the rural economy. They will no longer be moving raw materials out of rural areas. They will process and add value to everything there. They will create jobs, they will create markets, they will revive our rural economy, and they will stem the tide of rural-urban migration that we currently see today. We'll become a much more efficient producer, but also a much more competitive producer of processed food.
Bills include the National Transport Commission Bill 2015, National Roads Fund Bill, Federal Roads Authority Bill, Nigeria Ports and Harbour Authority Bill 2015, National Inland Waterways Authority Bill 2015, Nigeria Railway Authority Bill 2015, as well as the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Bill. The Kogi State government has allocated 15,000 hectares of land for the cassava staple crops processing zone. Governor Idris Wada disclosed this at a news conference in the presidential villa. He said the federal government's project is expected to provide thousands of job opportunities for people in the state.
I'm here because the Kogi is the pioneer staple crop processing zone project for cassava. We have cassava staple crop processing zone at Alape in Kababunu local government area of Kogi State. We have been working closely with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture on this project. We have allocated 15,000 hectares of land. Perimeter surveys have been done. The local communities are very excited about the project. In partnership with Cargill, and a lot of work has been done. Environmental and social impact studies are going on. The interests of the smallholder farmers are accommodated in the whole project. Settlers in the area are not going to be disrupted. The World Bank is involved, so everything is done to international standards. We believe that this will transform the rural economy of the Kababunu local government area and adjoining local governments in Kogi State. There will be massive job opportunities. We estimate at least 10,000 jobs will be created when this project takes off fully.
Dealers halt trading on electronic trading in the Naira currency on Wednesday after it slid past the key level of 200 Naira to a dollar in fears the postponement of this week's election could trigger a constitutional crisis. In a related development, WSTC Financial Services Limited has said the demand pressure in the foreign exchange market will be further heightened by market reaction to the postponement of the general elections. The company, in a new report entitled Postponement of Reprieve for the Market, noted that the pressure in the forex market had hitherto been sustained by concerns about weak international crude oil prices, low fiscal buffers, and domestic uncertainties. The Financial Services said it believes that the rescheduling of the general elections is tantamount to deferring both social political stability and consequently reprieve for the financial markets, adding that this does not in any way hold well for alien investors' confidence and already lean capital inflows. Now let's join Sabena Izoku for the stock market report for today.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report is brought to you by MTN.
MTN,
everywhere you go.
Hello there and welcome to the Stock Market Report segment with me, Sabina Izuku. Equity transaction on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The All Shares Index depreciated by 1.39% to close at 28,721.27 basis points. The market capitalization decreased to close at 9.58 trillion naira. In all, a total volume of 339.4 million units of shares, valued at 6.1 billion naira, were exchanged in 3,512 deals. Julius Berger told the gainers chart to close at 44 naira 40 kobo with 1 naira 75 kobo price, a difference followed by Beta Glass, Okomo Oil, Stanbic IBTC and PZ Cousin. On the loser side, 40 oil topped the losers chart, followed by Dangote Cement, WAPCO, that's West African Production Company, Flour Mill and United Africa Company of Nigeria. Meanwhile, Access Bank topped the traders chart, followed by First Bank Nigerian Holding, First City Merchant Bank, Transcorp and Zenith. Just before we wrap up the stock market report, here's the currency trade for today.
And now to other stories outside Nigeria. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko will attend an EU summit in Brussels on Thursday to discuss the war in his country. Poroshenko will brief US on the development in Ukraine, and Tusk said in a letter inviting heads of state to Thursday's meeting. The Ukrainian president was expected to report back on peace talks taking place on Wednesday in the Belarusian capital, Minsk, with the leaders of France, Germany and Russia. The four-way summit is billed as a chance to halt an upsurge in fighting between heavily armed pro-Russian separatists and Ukrainian forces. The United States and European Union have slapped punishing economic sanctions on Russia in response to Moscow's alleged backing for the rebels in Ukraine.
From the Russian side, when two blasts of the multi-rocket launch system Smerch hitting more than 64 persons wounded, 5 of them are children, 10 of them are very difficult, and unfortunately killed already 16 persons. This is a disaster. This is a crime against humanity. When civilian people living in their houses where there is no any military object. This is almost 50 kilometers from the front line, and the Russian-backed rebels and terrorists attacking civilian, attacking peaceful city of Kramatorsk. This incident is exactly dedicated to cancel, to be harmful for the negotiation in Minsk. Somebody don't like the peace. Somebody wants a war. Somebody wants that they have only influence when they have killing the people, have a war, have an aggression against peaceful Ukraine. We don't allow them to do that. We stop the war. We are a peaceful nation, and the whole world is together with us.
A Belgian court on Wednesday jailed the leader of an Islamist group and several of his followers on terrorism charges for sending jihadist fighters to Syria. Fawad Belkacem, the chief of the Sharia 4 Belgium group, was sentenced to 12 years in prison by the court in the northern port city of Antwerp. Prosecutors had filed terrorism charges against 46 members of the group in total, but only 9 were present for the 5-month trial, with the rest believed to be in Syria. Security was tight at the court for the verdict, which came a month after 2 suspected militants were killed in Belgium during a huge anti-terror operation. Belgium is the European country that has produced the most jihadist fighters relative to its population size.
He went there for his own reasons, to help other Muslims in need, faced with a dictatorial regime. Don't forget, he went in 2013. It wasn't the same situation as it is now, so he denies being a terrorist. This is what I have argued, and we hope the court agrees, but we will see. I didn't go to fetch my son from Syria so that he could spend 4 years in prison. That is clear.
And that's it on the Primetime News tonight. But before we go, a recap of our major stories. President Goodluck Jonathan said the issue of the Boko Haram insurgency will soon be a thing of the past. A federal high court in Abuja struck out a suit challenging the eligibility of President Goodluck Jonathan to contest the 2015 general elections. Finally, the United Nations Special Envoy Mohammed Ibn Chambers has said the international community is glad that decision to shift the date of the 2015 general elections did not lead to crisis. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the entire news crew, I am Ebuloma Dekle, wishing you a pleasant night rest.